Now I'm gonna look at something that will actually make me happy. Yes, let's big up our boy, who we all get for free. Thank you, Dan Heng, for being our guy. Provides allies with a summon. Yeah, I noticed that from his gameplay, and that's still crazy. He actually makes the banana set really good. Let's go, boy. Unique character traits, bondmate. I love that they call it that. It's so silly. And I also love that in the Keeping Up with Star Rail, they apply it to Evernight / March. Yeah, they should. Enhances by his ultimate. It creates follow-up attacks, which I wonder what synergy is with follow-up teams then, because of that. Character info. The chest of Georios, the body of the fallen dragon supporting the shattered earth, enduring millennia of pain. Dan Heng, the nameless in the crisis air who guards the earth's core flame, steadies the world before it falls, guides all life across the land to a new home beyond. Rivers flow to the sea, mountains echo in harmony, and the eternal path stretches 10,000 miles. 10,000 miles isn't very far for an eternal path, technically, but okay, we'll go with that. Affiliated city beyond the sky, just like Evernight, makes sense. Divine Authority, Pillar of Stone, Georios. Personal matters. Oh yeah, let's get the voice lines. As you can see, that transformation was brought on by the power of the permanence. Though you may have questions, I'd like to reintroduce myself before I answer them. I am the guard of the Astral Express, your companion Dan Heng the Nameless. Yes, our boy. After I accepted the core flame of Earth as one along Scions, the powers of the power of the permanence within this body became a shield for all life on Amphorius, carrying them into the distant sea of stars to race freely through the boundless unknowns beyond. Which, his little story goes over this and kind of hints that after Amphorius is over, random species will start turning up that are connected to the Amphorius ones. Which is kind of fun. I made a whole video on that one, go look at that. About self, reason for trailblazing. At first I had nowhere to call home but the Express. The Trailblaze, it felt more like a ticket to escape from my past than a journey forward, but before I knew it, every stop the Express made became a new beginning for me. Aww, cute. Every twist and turn, every hardship, they're all a part of the road I chose. Good boy. Huh. Ha! He does something that the community needs to do more. He touches grass. That was rude, I'm sorry. Pretty little tree, and it's a good illustration of what he's able to do, but I'm sorry. I wonder if there's symbolism in the fact it's almost like a golden little tree that forms, considering, you know, he is originally from the Xianzhou, and the golden kind of plant that existed there was actually tied to the abundance and concerning. The idol. Oh yeah, okay, that's sick. That's awesome. Let's go, boy. His basic attack is just a stab in the face. Yep. Terra Omnibus, okay. Yeah, that's the designation of bondmate. Provides allies with a shield that can offset damage based on Dan Heng's attack. This is why I'm wondering how well is he going to synergize with certain characters. I also see why they do it for attack. It actually makes him good for example, they're showing the Anaxa comp there, but the character I actually imagine him being best for is actually Fanon, who is in a weird spot. Because for him, the best way to actually run him seemingly is with no sustain, but that results in you either having to kill your enemy very quickly or your team will die, or running a sustain and losing a ton of damage. Dan Heng's summon and other things though, especially in synergy with using Sunday, will make it so Fanon's damage gets buffed more and it actually increases the survivability of the team. When the shield, you can repeatedly stack it, which is fine, but it won't exceed a certain percentage, that's fine. Bondmate only applies to the most recent target. So if you're targeting, for example, Fanon, then you're all good. Relating a trace, okay. His ultimate grants a shield to all allies, so to me it feels like you're gonna want an energy regen rope on this man. It feels hard to justify not having one, because it's good to have more options that get you the shield up in case you need it. And it also seems like it enhances Soul Dragon, which is also good, because that means it actually boosts Finan's damage even more before you go into Finan's ult. Talent of Virtue Forms Unfold. Okay. This is the action of the dragon. Okay, it has an initial set speed, so it's kind of like Lightning Lord in the fact it's fixed. When it takes action, dispels a debuff from all allies. Nice. And provides a shield. Nice. Can be stacked, same text as before. It disappears when the bondmate or Dan Heng dies. That makes sense. Oh, he dazes them. Ah, friend. After using technique gains, bondmate inflicts daze on enemies, and dazed enemies will not actively attack the ally target. Fair enough. And it transfers over and automatically uses a skill point on the character. Okay. Without using any skill points, so you get to maintain your skill point amount but still apply bondmate to the final character that does the attack on the enemies and actually starts the battle. Nice. Empyreanity, I think. When using skill, increases attack for the target that becomes the bondmate by a percentage of Dan Heng's attack. That is good for Fanon and an Axa, and any other DPS that works on attack. The most recent ones, this is the one thing that makes me sad, I can't use Dan Heng in a comp technically with the other characters that released this version that are part of the Astral Express. Why? Because Evernight uses HP. She is a DPS that scales on HP, so some of his buffs are very good in general, but the examples of him buffing his allies based on attack don't do anything for her exclusively. She does not care. She wants HP changes. And obviously, in the case of a HP-based character that does anything based on HP changes, you actually want a Abundance or Remembrance character who's able to heal. Sylvanity, when combat starts, he advances his own action. When bondmate uses an attack, he regenerates energy. Ooh, more energy gain. That's actually really nice. Sublimity, when Soul Dragon takes action, provides an additional shield to target who has the lowest shield effect when repeatedly receiving Dan Heng's shield. The shield effect is stackable, we know about that. When the enhanced Soul Dragon takes action, additionally deals 1 instance of additional damage of the bondmate's damage type to the enemy with the highest HP. Okay, that's kind of neat. So it modifies damage type to suit the team he's on. Do we have other examples of that happening? I'm trying to think. There must be. Either way, I'm all in on this. I like this. Our boy, Dan Heng. He's free. He seems actually really bloody good, especially for accounts that don't have many sustains. He's an incredibly good option. The one concern I have is his Lightcone is basically a must, because he scales on attack, which makes, in general, every option not very good for him because they don't stack on the stat he uses. I want this as well. I pressed the button. Load. Okay. Increase the wearer's attack by 64%. Yeah, no. This is why. In his kit, the moment it was mentioned that he scaled on attack, I knew that his Lightcone was going to basically be a must. This is why. Preservation historically does not use attack as a stat it cares for. It's mainly defense or HP, both of which, and even then, it's really catered towards defense, which Dan Heng does not care about, clearly. Increases the wearer's attack by 64% when the wearer uses ultimate, restores HP equal to 10% of the wearer's attack for all allies. Huh. And additionally restores HP equal to 10% of the wearer's attack for the character with the lowest current HP and grants a buff. He's able to heal without being a healer because of his Lightcone. That makes him better for HP comps. But you'd still probably want a dedicated healer, because he has no way in his kit outside of his ult if he has this Lightcone to heal And characters like, for example, Evernight and Castoris, they do stuff based on their HP changing. This boy only can do that in his ult. Unless his energy gain is ridiculous, with or without rope, this seems to help. He's able to gain energy off his allies doing stuff, and also off of the dragon doing stuff, and he's able to potentially use a rope that help him too. Depending on how much his ult requires, and even then, it also just depends on his regenerate. I don't know if he's ever gonna be able to be the best option for example, Remembrance comp, but it makes him not impossible to use with them. But it's definitely not his niche. You would aim for teams that use attack stats, definitely. This just makes it even more apparent to me. It's a nice little safety cushion if you do lose enough HP, if the shielding isn't fast enough that you can heal a bit back and save yourself dying. I'd say Feinen's team and Anax's, which are the ones that he's been showcased with the most, are definitely the best for him. By miles. He gives Redoubt to all allies for 3 turns, and characters with Redoubt deal 24% more damage, which increases by a further 12% if they have summons, which they will have summons if you give them the dragon. So he's giving Feinen a 36% damage buff on his own Lightcone. That's crazy. Yeah, no, his Lightcone is a must for him. If you want to use Dan Heng and him actually be decent or good, you need his Lightcone. I'm glad that I got very lucky with Evernight and I don't have to worry too hard about my pull count. I'm back to like 500. I want this Lightcone to be nice to me so I don't have to even worry about Serene. I just need 360 pulls once this version's over, essentially. And then I don't have to worry. Serene's fine. My concern is eventually reruns, because I do think that for my account, I need Hyacinth really bad. But let's see his Lightcone story. In the boundless ancient lands, a young man walks alone on his quest. He seems to return to those wandering days, wading through surging waves, weathering winds and frost, battling behemoths, struggling against raging tides. Yet in those moments of respite, he is not alone. Though thousands of miles stretch before him, he can still see the light ahead. Oh boy. It is the light of hope of all living beings. The shattered earth can no longer sustain rebirths, and they gather around him seeking comfort and shelter. Those are the words his companions left in his heart, like an endless voyage connecting them firmly together. The troubles of his past may stir with the wind, but the path he's travelled will become the strength of his metamorphosis. I will stand guard for the path of the trailblazers. The young man leapt forth with his spear, advancing towards the light, and I shall defend all hope that threatens to fade away. Aww. How to obtain part doesn't matter. This Lightcone's busted for him. It's a really good Lightcone. That damage buff, he's borderline a support and a sustain with that effect. I'm impressed. I think that's one of the best sustain Lightcones we've seen for a bit. Outside of Hyacinth's, but hers is kind of cracked. I'm all in. I'm looking forward to getting this boy and his... Well, we get the boy for free, which I love. Rate that still. Thanks, Hoyo. But I'm looking forward to getting his Lightcone. And Lightcone banners are just a lot easier to get what you need on.